The year was 1877, and Ed Shefflin was prospecting for gold in southern Arizona, using Fort Huachuca as his base of exploration. Those stationed at the fort believed they knew what would be Shefflin's outcome.
And the soldiers down there, they would tell him, the only thing you're going to find out there is your tombstone. And of course there were Apache Indians out here, and they figured he was going to get it from the Indians.
But Shefflin found silver instead of gold and named the town to mock the fort's soldiers, creating the city of Tombstone. It was a booming and often wild place to live. The Boothill graveyard soon was established.
If you're having a party and you're gambling and you're drinking, you know, things get a little out of hand. So within 6 years, we filled up this cemetery.
This is the first burying ground for the residents of the town of Tombstone. Several items make this cemetery different from most others in the nation.
This is called caliche soil here. It's very dense and it's very hard. So they buried them only 3 feet deep here, not the typical 6 foot deep.
Add to that fact, there are a few trees here for wood for caskets, so the dead were buried in canvas or blankets. Stones were placed on top to prevent animals from digging the shallow graves. You'll find names you may know. Some of the most infamous were from a showdown here in 1881.
Well, we have Billy Clanton and the McClowrys. They're off in this area over there. And they're buried together. They're from the OK Corral gunfight.
Each person buried here has a story which is told on a pamphlet you receive when visiting the cemetery. Some of the stories certainly show how rough and tumble life can be in the Wild West.
Mr. G.O. Johnson, he bought a horse. It was a stolen horse. He didn't steal it, but it was stolen, and he got hung by mistake. That's a big oops. But, you know, that's the way it was in the old Wild West.
Most of the burials were in the 1880s. Time passed and this graveyard was forgotten, but not by all.
And a Mr. Nunley came along and he went to the city fathers and he said, you know, that's pretty disrespectful and it's a mess. And I'd like to fix it up. And the city said, okay, fine. He says, yes, but I'd like to be buried there.
The city agreed, and Mr. Nunley is the last person to be buried here. And it is to him and those he recruited to help clean the site that all owe credit for being able to visit those graves today. The last burials here were in the 1940s, but this remains one of the most visited cemeteries in all of America, as people come here to pay respects to those who gave their lives and made this one of the legendary towns of the Old West. Traveling the countryside in Tombstone, Arizona, I'm Andrew McCrae.